Okay, so the recording started. So as I was saying before, your job, Akash, is you're going to primarily be doing notes and lore inside of the diner. So first, I'm going to go over the procedure for working in the repo so that you're not conflicting with me. And then also, I'm going to teach you all of the dialogue scripts. So not only note making, but like also like your character talking to himself and that kind of thing. Okay.
The NoteController we talked about earlier.
Yeah, the no controller's the biggest one, but there are some other control. There's some other like scripts that have to do with just like speaking to yourself, or like causing dialogue to appear on the screen while you
Is
just
like
walk over.
is
If
that
you
like
like
an
collide with it.
adventure? Oh, sorry.
No, no, no. If it's like if you like collide, it's like a trap. So it's like you step on the trap, but instead of being hurt or something, your character just talks to themselves. Okay.
Like an event trigger.
Yeah, kind of like that. That's pretty much what it is. But basically, the procedure for working in one of these scenes by yourself, or like so that we don't conflict, um, is you'll go through, you'll make a folder for yourself, and you'll name it something like Akash folder, right? It's just this is your test folder. So this is where you'll be storing all of your documents. So this is going to include like your copy of your scene, the assets that you use, that kind of thing. And then like it'll make it easier when you push to the repo because everything that you modify will be isolated into this folder. So since you're going to work in the diner, it's imperative that you make a copy of the diner. Um, you can name it whatever you can name it what you want. Just make sure it's not the same name as the main version of the or the original version of the diner. I'm gonna handle all of the merging for these scenes and stuff. So this is why it's important for you to name this differently so that I can get a hold of it. So that's diner test. We're gonna drop it in here, and then we're gonna load it.
So so when I do like a pull request, are you gonna like change like the names of the
Um,
scenes?
just explain.
When I do a pull request
So when you
and
pull, you're gonna get like all of the like the entire project as it is, right?
hmm
Whenever you decide to push your version of the project, it like literally the only change that should be happening is your isolated folder should be going to the repo, and then I can take your isolated folder and take your assets, put them where they belong, and merge your scene with the existing scene.
okay.
Um, okay, but this is our diner scene. So this is where you're gonna be putting like your notes and stuff. So you'll be running around in this scene, putting your assets, putting down your event triggers, that kind of thing. You'll notice that there's missing like assets, and that's because some of these scenes are designed to like take in singletons as well. So like the door is a singleton, and it's because that door relates to another item in another scene. So don't worry about like missing stuff. If there's something that you need to like attach your notes and stuff to, you'll have to let me know and I can help you like get your notes attached to singletons or have them be a singleton themselves. But for the most part, all of your stuff should be static, okay? So the first thing is in addition to making like your folder that will be in the assets that'll be standalone in your scene 2, what I want you to do is to create sort of like a game object folder. But what it'll be is it'll be an empty, and you'll like name this as like Akash's stuff. So this empty object, it doesn't really like exist anywhere in the game, but it behaves as like a container for the objects that you're gonna make. So first of all, let's go find like a document that we can use really quick or an image. So let's say that you have all of your drawings, right? We can probably pull one of those and I'll use it as an example. So let's go look at our
Oh
feet.
yeah, they're all in PNG, right? By the way,
Yeah, that's exactly what we want them as. It should be in art assets, right? Or wait, is it story?
it's in story design.
Okay, so let's grab this one. So we'll save this image. We'll save it to my desktop, Unity, and in my pictures, save. That should have gone right. Unity, pictures. Here's a bunch of pictures. Where is yours? So I don't see yours right off. That's okay. So what we'll do instead is just go over here, take a snippet of it, save it like that. So copy, Uh, save as. We'll just name this diner note, something like that. Just it doesn't really matter. You're gonna have a lot of these. You already probably have these on your computer, and really what it is it's as simple as just dragging from that folder
I mean,
directly in.
are you on Discord doing it?
Sorry. Oh, did you not see Discord?
Oh no, I'm still on Unity. I think you just have it on that one window screen when you're
Yeah, I think
recording.
I'm just streaming this. So basically, like, well, what I'm explaining is, can you see in Discord? Like, can you see my screen?
No, are you
You
doing it by game capture? I mean, what is it? Window capture, I mean.
looks like I'm doing screen like or window. So let me go ahead. I'm just gonna change that real
Uh, just
quick.
just do it to display.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Should be this screen.
but I think so. What you just snipped it, then
The OBS is not showing anything. But that's okay. I mean, I'm still explaining it in words. But basically, like you get the image into PNG form, right?
yeah,
And can you see now?
yeah, I can see it.
Okay, and so then it's really just as easy as just dragging and dropping this PNG into your assets folder. Okay.
Mhm.
So for a note in particular, or a piece of paper, or a poster, or whatever, the thing that you're going to create as an object that will make the note is a plane. So you'll right click 3D objects and create a plane. Now the plane's going to be pretty far away. Your shortcuts for this stuff are QWER. Q is just like movement. W is like moving the object. So this is your arrow to move the transform position of the object. Or E is to move the transform rotation of the object, and R is to move and change the transform scale of the object. Now this guy is like way over here. So what we need to do is move it until it's like inside the diner itself. Then we press R for scale, and we scale it way down so that it's the size of a piece of paper. You can do these to like change the various axes or the scale around the various axes. Uh, we look at the plane. You can see that on one side there's like no mesh. That's kind of the nature and characteristics of planes. And then really all it is taking this PNG, dragging it, and dropping it onto the plane. And so now this exists in the world as a like a piece of paper, I guess. This is like kind of mimicking what paper would be. I like to come over here and take the smoothness down. By default, all materials start with a smoothness of 0.5. That basically like makes the material reflective in some way. So any light in the environment would reflect off of this to some degree. If you make it 0, there's no reflection at all. And then again, you'd use your shortcut keys to move the note around the environment. Let's say we just place it right here. And then we scale it down so that it's, the right size. Okay, there you go. And so this object right here, if you look in the inspector, you can see it has a mesh collider. This is really important for our notes because our interactable interface works on colliders. It basically shoots a ray, and that ray collides with this mesh, and it tells the script that there's something here to interact with. Next, what we need to do is actually put the script on it that will like allow us to write the notes and stuff. So first thing we need to do is back up to the main assets folder. We're looking for our note script. So we'll go into scripts, interactable. Let me see if I can zoom this in. Interactables, dialogue, and we'll use the NoteController. There are two other dialogue type scripts, and we'll go over those in a second. But NoteController, we take it and we drag it and drop it on our mesh, and then we come over here and we can see that NoteController now exists inside of this plane. Really quick, we can rename this to like a note. Okay. Drop that in there. Make that so that's a part of this. So this note now has all these options. So this is a custom script. I'll start from the top and explain what each of these like variables does. So is character is a bool. Basically, if is character is marked true, it will display the dialogue in the center of the in the bottom of the screen. Excuse me. So is character it's as if somebody is speaking to you or you're speaking to yourself. It'll put the dialogue down here, and if it's not, then it'll show the dialogue in the center. Show image is basically whenever you interact with a note or this interactable in general, if you say yes to show image, what will happen is like a billboard of the image will show up as you're reading, and it'll be like a blown up version of whatever image you put into this variable. So for example, if we go back to your scene, we could say show image and then put the note itself so that it will show like the drawing that you did on the screen instead of like it just being sitting here. It'll be like popped up on the screen. Intro line basically means is as soon as you interact with this note, this dialogue will be said. So it's like there's a note here. Then past that, there's an array of dialogue that the player can go through. So we can put elements into this array and then say various things. So like
Yeah, stay far away from it.
yeah, we could say what it says, like stay far away from it. And then just
Also about the notes, how do you feel about like did you see like the what is it, the survivors POV notes, the one I copy and pasted?
yes.
How do you feel about them like having like the one of the notes and the image on top of one another? Like so they first go through the dialogue, then it shows another paper.
How do you mean explain again? Try to explain one more time.
Okay. So like there's like two notes,
Mhm.
one on top of each other. The first one just goes over like one of the survivors notes, like they how they came into the diner.
Okay.
And once that note finishes, it then goes to the next note, shows an image of one of.
So our note controller right now doesn't have the capability of like you can like write all of the notes here, but you can't show multiple images with the note controller.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, you fill up this array and it will say whatever you want, and you can put as many elements into this array as you want. And then next is the pickup clip, which is this audio that will play whenever you pick this up. A very good audio for it is in the sounds folder under props, and then you go look for paper sounds, and you can either use paper sound effect or you can use paper poster sound, but I like to use the paper sound effect because it's a little bit smaller. Past this, you're not really gonna. Sorry, excuse me. Past this, you're not gonna really need to know any of this stuff, but I can briefly explain it. Basically, a note controller is really versatile and it can behave as a key. So whenever you pick up a note, it'll do all this stuff, but in addition, it'll unlock doors for you, or it'll activate certain objects in the scene or destroy certain objects in the scene. In addition to that, if you click either of these booleans or these check marks, destroy on complete basically destroys the component note controller so that the interactor is able to go on to the next note controller in the series or on the stack inside of this object. Again, this is beyond the scope of what you'll need it for, but maybe later on I can show you some examples of like what these additional functionalities do. So basically though, you'll need from here down to at the pickup clip, and then that's all you'll need to generate your notes. Let me go ahead and put a player into this scene, and I can show you that this works. Let's see. So to add a player to your scene, you'll go to Models, Prefabs, and then we'll do a player, and we'll just drop him right here. Up a little bit, and we'll hit play. Sorry, hit play. Oh darn, there's no spawn manager in here. Hang on, I gotta just add one more thing.
Oh
Spawn
yeah,
manager
I was about to ask you that later on.
and a default spawn. Um, yeah, some of this stuff like it. it just needs like it needs a lot of like additional like things now because there's so many systems. But you can see like whenever you hover over your note, it's interactable. You can see the interact reticle come up, right? And then when you interact with it, you can see that it's going to start telling us our array. There's a note here. Stay far away from it. That is ominous. I wonder what that means. And that's how you'll make your notes. I mean, you're gonna basically take all of your notes and follow this exact thing and just place them around the environments. Um, and then once you do that, make sure that your notes are all inside of this like folder in the hierarchy that you make, so that whenever you send this over to me, I can literally just take this folder, copy and paste it, and it will put all of your notes right where you put them inside the scene. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, Next, I'm going to show you how to use some of the dialogue or the speaking dialogue boxes or the collider dialogue boxes. Those are pretty similar. So we'll go to scripts, interactables, back to dialogue. So there's an on collide speak and an on interact speak. So let's use the on interact speak first. So here in our scene, we'll go over to this body, for example, right? And we'll drop the on interact speak on her. And then she has a skinned mesh render, but we're going to want to also add a box collider to her. So let's add a mesh collider. But actually, let me add a box. Let's see what the box looks like. We should be able to see. So you see her box collider is pretty big, so we're actually going to like remove that and just do a mesh. You usually choose between the different collider types based on like what the size of them are, if they fit your purposes, and that kind of comes with time after knowing like what kind of like interactions you want. But you would know like if that was a big old box, like there might be issues because like, oh, you might be able to, if you're looking right here, you can interact with her, and that's not right. You should only be able to interact when you're looking directly at her. And if you want to take the time to make the box the right size, you can, but it's not super necessary. But basically
You just make it into her size. That's pretty much it.
yeah, that's what the mesh does. I think the biggest difference between using a mesh or a box is that the mesh, what it will do is tax the system a little bit more. The mesh has polygons and stuff that it renders, or not renders, but like adds to the calculations, so it can impact performance, especially if you have a lot of things that are mesh. But you can see here, like I have a big old box collider. So this actually might be a problem, because our player character's interactor will be colliding with this box instead. So for right now, I might disable this box collider. It's going to cause a little bit of problems, but I'm just going to do this for the purposes of showing you how the on interact speak works. Okay, so you can see now that we have this character and we have the on interact speak script on her. Very similar to before. There's a dialogue lines array that we can add elements to. So let's add a few elements. She's dead. Very dead. I wouldn't want to be this dead.
Damn.
Okay. Now here the timer is how long each one of these array elements is like shown on the screen for. Now this is not like 3 seconds or anything, so you'll have to play around with this to get it to last however long you want it to in game. I've found that the 3 units is pretty like a reasonable time. In addition to that, an audio clip is like the audio clip that the game will play when you first interact with this thing. So if you want like a gasp, you'll have to go find a gasping sound effect. I mean, you can really put anything you want here. Let's just put something silly, I guess, just so that you see that it works. Let's do... Yeah, let's do a chain link fence shaking sound, just so that you see. And destroy and complete is a very similar thing. Like, you won't really have to worry about this destroy and complete because, again, this has to do with the nature of our interactor. If there were other interactors in the stack on this object, destroying on complete would allow you to get to the next object or the next script on stack. But that's not relevant for you. So if we hit play. Okay, and we walk over here to this character. Oh, shoot. the collider still active. Hang
Oh
on.
yeah, you just. Mm-hmm.
I think the collider here is the problem. There's something in the way here that's keeping it from working. So we're
I
gonna go
mean,
ahead and
is it?
remove this and just make a big old box just so that we can show that it's working. This is usually the problem. Usually it's a collider or something. You can see, you can hear that the thing went off, and now it switches slowly through the array. I don't have to touch or do anything, and it'll actually keep going even if I walk away. So I can do this and go run over here, and it'll keep going. So that's how it works. So when you interact with this, it plays the dialogue down at the bottom. The very last one is the on collide speak, which is going to be the very same shape, but basically it's triggered by a collision with an object or a trap that's on the ground. So we come over here. We can demonstrate that by coming over here. We'll back up, and we'll make the classic trap that is that everything usually has. We'll come and make a 3D object, a cube. We'll take this cube and we'll parent it to the note so that we can quickly move its position to the note, unparent it. We have a cube over here, right? So we take this cube, move over to here. Let's say that you just walked through the door and you want him to say something as he's walking through this corridor. You would take this cube and you'd like make it so that he can't like move through here without touching it, right? Then you come over to its collider, and this is very important that you hit is trigger. Basically, what is trigger does is it makes it so that the player can walk through this thing, and is trigger tells the system to look for specific scripts or function calls inside the scripts. It's like the on collide enter, on collide stay, and on collide exit, which are Unity functions that help for like triggering events and stuff. So then we say on collide speak and put it onto this trigger, and then you can see that this is very similar to the on interact speak, except there's a pause. So the pause basically says, whenever you trigger this thing, how long do you want the system to wait before it starts speaking? This is used in a few instances where it's like, oh, you've been like, this is used in the forest level when you first wake up. Basically, as you wake up, you are immediately triggering a trap, but it's told to pause so that it can get fully through the waking up like animation and fade in and that kind of thing. Obviously, there's some dialogue lines in array, very similar to what you've seen. Wow, a diner. Very retro. Okay. A timer is the very same as what I explained before, and the destroy and complete is also the same, not really relevant for you. But if we play, we can see that when we walk over here, when we touch that thing, it triggers the dialogue, and it will continue to do so as we interact with it. There is likely like some space to potentially update the script later so that whenever you trigger one of these things, they'll delete themselves. Just haven't gotten around to adding the boolean, but you could do destroy on complete to get the same effect. The only difference is that destroy on complete only... Actually, this might destroy the object. Let's see what it does. It actually might destroy the object. I don't think I would expect triggers to go that far. There it goes. So you saw that whenever it finished the dialogue, the trigger goes away. Okay, and so that's just the information on all the dialogue stuff. Really, the biggest thing is that like you making the notes, your own notes, and putting them into this scene is going to be like the biggest thing. All these other dialogue things, they're helpful, but you might not even get around to using them, especially when we have like weirdness with colliders like this. This collider probably, like if we want to use it properly, this probably should be a mesh collider. That way, this mesh and its collider is not interfering with this mesh and this collider. But that's like just a thing that I've learned over time, like trying to get our interactor to work with the colliders properly. Do you have any questions about the notes?
Mm, okay, can you go back to the table?
Sure. I mean, there's lots of tables. Which one?
I
Uh,
mean, the one you were on. I mean,
Sure.
okay, you told me you want. Okay, so you said like you want like a. Does it? Do you really? Does it really matter where I place the notes? Like, can I could just place them like at the edge of the table, like
Yeah, I mean, you do want to put them where the player can get them. So like, you wouldn't want to
yeah.
put the note like way over here on the left where it's like you can see it but you can't reach it.
Hmm.
It's likely that the player can reach it, but are like you want to put it readily available to the player to read. Um, and so like you can put them in various spots. Like you can just put them like on top of the trash if you want. There is a bathroom with a play with a character in the toilet. So I'd like you to do something with this, like add some context, or you could put an on interact speak for her and make it something weird. Say something weird about it. You can put
I
stuff
have
on
an
the.
idea.
You can
Hmm.
put some stuff here on this countersink. It really is just set dressing. Just add what things where you think would be good. Um, and yeah, just try to be creative. You're gonna show obviously your work to me afterwards, and I'll have feedback and we can change things. And if it's
Hmm.
small stuff, I'll fix it on my end. But more than likely, uh, this will be the scene that you fill out and are responsible for, adding lore to.
Okay, I appreciate this, man. Wait, okay, do you remember last time we talked? So like I want to test out the diner scene. So okay, like press play,
Uh huh.
like, and you like when you go back to try to go back into like the kitchen, it
Uh huh.
doesn't take you. You have to like what is it?
Talking
Yes,
about
like go back.
this door.
So like when you go back to the kitchen, nothing happens.
No, I mean it should load this scene.
Oh, I remember last time you mentioned it.
Oh,
Like when you
dude. I mean, last time, if it's honestly been more than a week, man. The game makes progress every single day. So that day that I told you that like something wasn't working, it was probably that day that I figured it out.
okay.
But again, so keep in mind though that the shape of the game, these doors are linked to specific scenes. So if you open this door, it's going to take you back into the main game. And in addition to that, whenever you make changes in Unity, if you make it while the game is playing, it's going to revert all of those changes. None of those changes stay. So if you're playing the game and making active changes, try to avoid that because what's going to happen is, oh, I'm making changes, I'm adding notes, and then I hit play again. All of your changes are going to go away. Does that make sense?
Wait, so like okay, so let's say like I add the notes right here, then I press play,
Yeah. Okay.
and
So
then
how about look at this. So this is your note.
yeah.
Let's say you make a copy of this note because you're about to make another one. So now I have a duplicate. Yeah.
Mhm.
I haven't played anything, so whenever I go to play, it stays there. So
It
now I have a
stays there.
duplicate. So now let's say that I'm like, oh, I like this, but I don't like the orientation of it. So let's say that I want to move it here and then rotate it. And oh, let's say I want to move this one. And I rotate this one and I
Oh,
resume. Oh, everything's great. It's dandy. It's the way I want it. And then let's say I hit play now to in the thing. They go back to the original state.
okay, that makes sense.
So when you're in the play state, if you're making changes, they're not saved at all, and there's no way to save them. I mean, there's
Okay,
there's workarounds, but that's besides the point. Basically, if you're making changes while it's playing, you're not going to save those.
gotcha.
That means like making extra stuff too, like literally anything. So try not to make changes that you want to keep when you're in the play state.
Oh,
Um,
so like okay, but previously you said so if I place like the some of the notes here
uh huh,
and I want to place some notes in the kitchen and
uh
like
huh,
in the back.
yeah.
It's
So
just like
if you want to do that, you're gonna have to duplicate them again. So you'd go to your scenes and you'd say um, the back room, the kitchen. You'd make a copy of it and then drop it into your folder. Make a copy
okay.
of it, drop it in your folder, and then you go and work in them here. Don't manipulate them here.
Hmm.
In addition to that, like that's the thing. The scene loading. let me handle the scene loading. Like literally, this works. This door works. But if you're in the play state, there's no adding anything here. You're just walking into basically what is like an empty room.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like you can't make any changes. The only way you'll be able to make a change is to go into the scene that's in your folder, make the change there, and
Mm-hmm.
then it will stick.
Okay.
And so then you'd this one really fast way to get to like a location. So like this, for example, the back room. You load it, but you can't really see it anywhere. You'll come up into the hierarchy and you'll double click onto something that's in the scene and it'll zoom you to it. The reason being that these are separated is because the back room is actually an entirely different building from the diner. I'm
Yep.
using another room to call it, and I'm calling it the back room of the diner, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but past that, you'll follow the same principles inside your test scene. Make yourself a folder object or a container object, a empty object, and you'll add all of your stuff here. So Akash stuff files or whatever you want to call it, and you'll parent it into here. That way, whenever I come and I look at it and I'm going to merge it, I can just copy this folder and drop it directly into the scene. And if like nothing should conflict, and I can quickly check all the objects you added. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Let me and I'm just gonna reiterate this because see right here, this is your folder, right? This is your Akash stuff. Here's a note that you made. I can double click on it, zoom to it, and see it. Here's a note you made. Here's a cube you made. And then you'll continue to, you want to make sure that it's underneath this, that it's a child of this parent object. So like, don't have anything just chilling here because I won't catch
Mm-hmm.
it. You know, I might miss it. So make sure that's in your folder.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to delete these and give you a chance to, unless you want me to leave this folder here. We can already
Uh,
see that there's other people's folders and they're starting to work on their stuff. I'm probably going to delete this one because I think I made that one. Uh, but yeah, I mean, we're going to try to keep this stuff organized, but other people are starting to work in here, so we're going to need to like keep communicating. So you'll let me know where all this stuff is while you're working on it.
mm-hmm.
But that's it. That's the procedure for everything. You got any more questions?
I think that's about it. If I have any more, is it okay if I message you?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
All right.
Granted, tomorrow I'm again, I've been working full time and so. Oh, actually, I'm gonna end the recording and then we can talk a little bit.